Educated shoppers. People who buy, or who are even thinking about buying, wildlife products from endangered species need to be educated about how harmful the trinkets, potions, and other things they buy really are. They need to know that pangolin scales come only from dead pangolins, that ivory comes only from dead elephants, and that giant panda furs come only from dead giant pandas. A few years ago, a survey showed that the vast majority of Chinese did not know that elephants had to die for their ivory tusks to be taken. Many mistakenly thought ivory regenerated or regrew if someone cut it off. New Chinese ad campaigns and short movies featuring celebrities have been created to educate people that ivory has only one source: dead elephants, and that not buying ivory today will help keep an elephant alive tomorrow. They're starting to make a difference as people in China become more aware of the problem and the solution. Stop buying ivory so poachers have no incentive to kill elephants. Additionally, a group of prominent Chinese business leaders recently agreed they wouldn't buy ivory or give it as a gift. Hopefully, others will follow their lead. Similar efforts in Japan in the 1980s helped change what people bought and what they didn't buy. Those efforts prompted demand for ivory to go down in Japan, which helped limit poaching until the most recent epidemic started. Hopefully, the new efforts in China and elsewhere will make a difference for Africa's elephants. Because of what happened in Japan, we know that they can. In countries like China, where pangolin is still considered both a source of medicine and a delicacy, it is important to spread the word that medicines made from pangolins don't cure diseases and make it not okay, not cool, and not acceptable to eat pangolin meat or wear pangolin scales. These awareness campaigns, alongside improved pangolin conservation efforts in the wild and in captivity, can make a real difference, as we saw in the combined effort to save the bald eagle in the US. Those are only two such examples. We need public education efforts around rhino horn not curing cancer and tiger parts not curing any disease, and so much more to help preserve our endangered species across the world. Some of that public education has to happen in the US too. Yes, China is the largest ivory market in the world, and in many Asian countries, animal parts are sold for mistaken medicinal purposes. But we need to do more in the United States as well. In particular, there are many things made from ivory and rhino horn that are marketed as antiques, often making them legal to sell, whether statues or jewelry, chopsticks, or musical instrument parts. Currently, technology does not exist to determine whether any individual ivory was taken from an animal last week or 100 years ago, because we can't tell from ivory when an elephant was killed. Much of what is billed as antique ivory probably isn't. The same is true for rhino horn. That's why I favor a full ban on the selling of ivory and rhino horn, with no exceptions, because otherwise traffickers can continue to pass off ivory from recently slaughtered elephants as antique and do the same with rhino horn. Lots of people disagree. Some because they want to be able to replace ivory in old instruments, guns, or other things. What do you think? You'll have to decide whether or not you believe, as I do, that a full ivory and rhino horn ban in the US would help protect elephants and rhinos from being killed in Africa and Asia and remove the ability of terrorists and criminals to use poaching to fund their evil activities. You can do a lot to help save endangered species. Help educate your family and friends about the threat of extinction facing tigers, giant pandas, and other animals. share that there is no evidence supporting medicinal claims about anything made from any part of any dead endangered animal. Help everyone around you understand that wildlife parts almost always come from dead animals. While rhino horns can regenerate, most poachers kill rhinos too. They do not carefully remove their horns. For most endangered species, there is no way to harvest or pluck their parts, and they do not grow back. Urge your family and friends who are at least 13 to take to social media to share the horrifying facts around endangered wildlife products. Share why you think it's important to stop the demand for ivory and stop the destruction of elephants or any other animals you feel a connection with. This is an area where we need a lot more awareness among everyone of every age around the world. For people to stop purchasing products made from dead endangered animals, we have to show them that what they may think about animal products is wrong. Tell family and friends that no matter how cool a polar bear rug might look in their den or how attractive an ivory bracelet might be on grandma's wrist, the polar bear skin will look far more beautiful on an actual polar bear, and the ivory far more spectacular on an elephant. Urging your family and friends to buy other fun, fascinating, and beautiful things instead of buying anything made with ivory, as just one example, is an important part of stopping poaching. If fewer people want to buy things made from endangered animals' skins, tusks, horns, eyes, bones, and other parts, poachers are less likely to kill animals to get those parts. Two people helping stop demand for ivory are Nellie and Celia, both from Hong Kong. In 2013, when she was 11 years old, Nellie successfully persuaded her school to stop using ivory for educational purposes. She was also one of 5 kids who gathered 60,000 signatures on a petition asking Hong Kong to destroy its ivory stockpile as a strong signal against illegally trafficking ivory, something it ultimately decided to do. Through all their efforts, Nellie helped bring more awareness to the threat that elephant poaching and ivory demand are to elephant survival. It's likely more people paid attention to Nellie's efforts because she was young and passionate. Don't underestimate the power of your youth. Celia was 14 in 2012 when she started a campaign to cut ivory demand, to urge governments to take firm action against poaching, and to get former NBA star Yao Ming involved in helping save elephants. Her tireless efforts attracted lots of media attention and support, and like Nellie, her age probably attracted more attention than if she'd been in her 20s or 30s. People wanting to support Celia and Nellie because they were young and optimistic. One person who decided to support Celia was Yao Ming. Celia's campaign succeeded more than she could have ever imagined. Today, Yao Ming is one of the most recognizable faces of anti-poaching and anti-ivory efforts in China. Just like Celia and Nellie, you can speak out about the illegal wildlife trade and attend events against the illegal wildlife trade like ivory crushes and burns. At this point, you may be asking yourself, wait, why are we crushing and burning all this ivory? It may seem puzzling to destroy ivory that has been confiscated illegally entering a country like the United States or China, or illegally leaving a country like Tanzania or Kenya. You may be thinking, why wouldn't we just sell it? Ivory crushes and burns send a very clear message that countries will not tolerate and refuse to benefit from the slaughter of elephants. It's like when illegal drugs are seized. We wouldn't say, let's just use them since we have them now. We destroy the drugs. In November 2013, the United States crushed 6 tons of ivory it had taken from criminals who were trying to bring it to sell in the US illegally. Starting in 2014, partly because of efforts like Nellie's and Celia's, Hong Kong began destroying the 28 tons of ivory it had taken from criminal traffickers. You can encourage the US and other countries to keep crushing ivory and destroying other ill-gotten endangered wildlife products. You can also support wildlife conservation efforts across the world by becoming a member of a favorite conservation group like I did with Conservation International and others when I was a kid, or a member of your local zoo as Mark and I now are with the Central Park Zoo, part of Wildlife Conservation Society. Another way to show support is to sponsor animals you particularly want to help save or to give a sponsored animal as a gift. When my daughter was born, good friends gave us elephants and pygmy elephants through the Wildlife Conservation Society and the World Wildlife Fund, and polar bears through Defenders of Wildlife. These were some of the most meaningful gifts we received. Our daughter Charlotte's life was being honored by helping save another life somewhere in the world. Through these organizations and others, you can sponsor any of the animals in this chapter, as well as many more, including various foxes, penguins, leopards, flamingos, giraffes, whales, and snakes. It's okay to feel drawn more to some animals than others. As is probably clear, I love elephants. I think they're magnificent creatures. Warm, family-oriented, resilient. So many of the qualities I most admire, elephants beautifully manifest. The money raised through animal sponsorship or through direct donations to conservation groups helps save animals in many ways, by providing funds to communities to protect instead of poach animals, by advancing research into animals so we know how best to protect them, and by supporting park rangers and others on the front lines of protecting wildlife. Another way to help raise awareness and money is to celebrate the various animal days throughout the year. Admittedly, my favorite might be International Polar Bear Day, because it falls on my birthday, February 27th. You can probably see some of the animals in this list by visiting your local zoo or aquarium, and you don't have to become a member or sponsor an animal to do so. Most zoos have free days. Zoos in colder places will be more likely to have animals from colder environments, but sometimes zoos in warmer places have them too. They're able to use ice packs, cool water pools, and shade or indoor space to help animals like polar bears stay cool in the summer. This enables zoos to expose new audiences to animals from around the world. Zoos also help protect animals in their natural habitats and frequently conduct important research that helps determine which conservation efforts are most effective for various species in the wild and in captivity. Research by zoos and conservation groups is particularly important for animals like pangolins, about which we know very little, partly because they've historically had a hard time living in zoos. Most have died shortly after being taken away from their wild habitats. It's also especially important for animals like polar bears that tragically are quickly losing their natural habitats, and zoos may be one of the only ways to guarantee their survival. Visiting U.S. national parks shows your support for the wildlife and endangered animals that live in our own country, like certain grizzly bears. The majority of America's 427 national parks generally do not charge an entrance fee, and for those that do, there are always certain free days throughout the year, including Martin Luther King Jr. Day and President's Day weekend. For more information about free days, please visit nps.gov. Additionally, you can join the Junior Rangers program, available at over 200 national parks, to help support the park's preservation efforts, and you can learn more at nationalparks.org. Finally, if you want to do even more, particularly if you want to save the polar bear and other animals threatened seriously by global warming. Help stop climate change. A big way to do that is to help people understand the many different ways climate change is hurting our planet and our future, like the shrinking of the polar bear's Arctic ice, as seen in the picture at the start of this section. As discussed in Weather Report, many small steps can together make a big difference. Encourage your families to walk or use public transportation when you can. Turn off the lights when you leave home. Encourage your schools and wherever else you might spend your time to recycle and go green. While it's your world, it's also our world. We have one Earth, and our future is bound to the fate of the animals and plants with which we share it.